Okay, now that I've got that all shaded black, I can take my blending stump and being sure I stay inside my lines. I'm just going to smooth it out, because blending is all about smooth tones and smooth transitions. Your blending stump is just a piece of rolled up paper. It has no pigment to it. The reason it's this color is because we've used it to smooth our tones before. Alright, great. So now we have our light source and our cast shadow. Now we're going to start working on our midtones. Before we can do that, we have to determine where the highlight is. The highlight is going to be the lightest part of the object. We're going to leave the highlight white. So to do this, it's always where the sun hits. I don't want you to draw this on their paper. I'm going to draw it on mine so you can see where it should be. Okay? It's going to be an oval or a circle because that's the shape of your object. And it's going to be right where the sun is hitting, right where your light source is. Okay? So I'm going to shade around this using my mid-tone shades. The closer it is to the highlight, the lighter tones it will be. The further away it is, the darker. I'm going to shade around this highlight and zoom in so you can see it real well. Okay? I'm going to erase this because I know where it's supposed to be and I don't want it to interfere. So using the side of my pencil, I think I'll start with my HB. And I'm holding my pencil really far back and only using the side. I'm in a circular motion. I'm going to shade along the edge first. And I always want to follow the shape of the form. I'm going to shade a little bit right here. But you see how I make kind of like a crescent shape and I gradually work towards that highlight. I'm not just filling in a circle around it. Okay, now I'm going to take my blending stump and I'm going to blend this out starting at the bottom. You can see the tones look a lot darker now that they've been blended than they actually were on the paper. As I get closer to the highlight, I'm carefully blending. I'm barely touching the paper at all, because I want it to be a smooth transition. I don't want to see a difference between the two. Okay. I went a little outside my line, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Okay, so now I still have my highlight, and I have a smooth transition into my midtones. Okay? So I'm going to label those. I'm using my lighter pencil to label. Okay, so, and don't forget your highlight, of course. Okay, my next is the core of shadow. The core of shadow is going to be what really makes your figure start looking three-dimensional. It's going to be the darkest part on your figure. I'm using a darker pencil for this, and I'm going to be using the side of my pencil. Okay, I like to hold my pencils further back so that I don't press too hard. And you're going to make like a crescent moon shape. So I'm just going to start out very, very lightly because I'm using a darker pencil. Notice I don't touch the edge of my figure. making like a crescent moon shape still, following the shape of my form. I'm going to keep building this tone into the midtones and making them a little bit darker too. The darkest part of your core of shadows should be towards the bottom. Alright, so when we've done it, it'll look similar to this. So you can take your blending stump and gently blend that in. I like to start at the bottom first, that way it kind of gives me a preview of what's going to happen. And I might barely touch, like just enough to smooth that tone out. Alright, so that looks good. I'm going to label that one using my light pencil again. Okay, and now you see this little sliver of light that you've left down here at the bottom? That is known as reflected light. And it's very important that you leave it. The reflected light is what happens when light bounces off the table and back onto the object. Everything has this. It's really difficult to see, but everything that is sitting on a tabletop or sitting on the floor or sitting on top of anything has this reflected light, and this is what makes your work look three-dimensional. Okay. If you wanted to really bump it up now, you could shade the background, and that would make it look much more three-dimensional. But I'm not going to do that today, and this is what we have. All right, our next one we'll be moving on to is hatching.